Let's talk to political commentator Scottie Nell Hughes, who joins us now from across the pond. Good to see you this morning. Look, I mean, part of the issue with this is they've taken evidence from people like the former Vice President, Mike Pence, who seems to have really added to the case against Trump in all of this, doesn't he? I mean, has he got anywhere to hide from these accusations?
Good morning. And it's not only the former president that Vice President Pence talked against, it's his now opponent in the 2024 election. But listen, all of this is complete rubbish, a word that both across the pond and here in the South we say quite often, because let's talk about what this is all about. This is to try to make sure that Donald Trump can not only not run for president, but he can't be on the ballot, and gosh forbid he gets elected again, he can't actually be put into office. They tried this. This is another desperate political attempt. They tried this when he was still in office. They impeached him, failed. They tried him when he got out of office, when they did this circus of a January 6th hearing, which nobody paid attention to. And we've seen time and time again, court case after court case, go against Donald Trump. And with each time that they put something against him, all it does is make the American people just turn a blind eye and realize this is just more drama trying to be interjected in the election process. And they really have other things more important to be worried about than necessarily the political games that continue in Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump is already charged with two other cases, though, isn't he? The mishandling of classified files and falsifying business records to cover up those hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. But what do you make of these charges? They do seem very serious, don't they?
Well, honestly, I think that Georgia probably has the most gravitas within the case. And yet here, a year after we pretty much started talking about these charges being filed against Donald Trump, this is when they choose to introduce it. All this is doing is confirming that, once again, the DOJ here in the United States is just a tool, a weapon being used against political opponents. And in this case, it happens to be against the person currently in the executive office, using our DOJ to go after his now obviously known political opponent. And when you talk about people like Vice President Mike Pence, you got to put it in perspective. These are not people that are just, that were a part of Republicans. These are people that are now running against Donald Trump. So while I agree that Georgia, there is some circumstances that probably do need to be addressed within it, they've used a year and they've gone through all these other court cases that just weakens the public attention, the public fan, when it comes to actually talking about any of the cases going against Donald Trump, and just further proves the point that this is just being used to try to take him off the ballot and interfere in an election, which is what the Trump campaign is accusing the Biden administration of doing in their latest press release.
Yeah, but come on, Scottie. When you look at this, I mean, these are very serious allegations, a lot of them being that the claims Trump made about election interference were knowingly false. And look, this is the dossier, right? There's masses of it, including the fact that the Attorney General said that in Michigan there'd been no fiddling with the vote, but the next day Trump said that this is corrupt, Detroit is corrupt, they know it, Detroit is totally corrupt. I mean, he'd been told that wasn't the case, right, by his officials. There's loads of stuff here indicating that he knew what he was saying was absolute rubbish, and he went ahead and said it anyway.
Two points to what you're saying. What that dossier that you're holding in your hands right now, how far are we since the election? I mean, we're talking, they're accusing him of instigating January 6th. It is not illegal to question the results of an election, especially weeks after. It is not illegal in any of our laws here in the United States that you can't question. Now, what is illegal is encouraging people to become violent with it, which President Trump time and time again publicly accused people to keep the peace, to not storm the Capitol. But that seems to be completely ignored by the mainstream media. And now, as we're continuing to find more and more out about January 6th and what was actually involved in the crowd, people are questioning anything that's coming about. But to your point about, sure, that dossier right now, but guess what? In the past, dossiers haven't turned out to be completely true either. And no one's ever been held accountable for the dossier that took down the Trump administration and plagued him for 4 years when he was in office. I imagine it's probably going to be 2 years later when we find out what is true and what is false in the dossier of those documents you're holding in your hands right now.
But hold on, you say Donald Trump repeatedly told the people they had to keep the peace. What he said was, we fight like hell. This is on January the 6th at that rally. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. I mean, look, that's how...
Do you also want to repeat the tweet that he pointed out? Like, do not storm the Capitol, keep the peace, do not question law enforcement. Do you want to also read those tweets that came directly from Donald Trump at the same time that they were saying he was instigating it? He was actually telling people to stand down, back away from the Capitol, return back to your home. Those are the tweets that conveniently are left up. Never did Donald Trump say to storm the Capitol as they accused him of doing. And once again, this is 2 years ago. If he actually would have done that, I guarantee there would have been a conviction by now. But that's why this continues to look very, very curious.
Because unfortunately, there's no hard evidence that they can actually nail him on. So they have to keep this up until they can take him off the ballot.